Welcome back to the Great Minds Project 5.0 podcast. As you all can see, the caption, the title of this particular podcast is Katt Williams. He ain't playing, y'all. He ain't pulling no punches. Katt Williams. And let's get into it, y'all, because this is some real funny stuff to me because this is he calling out all comedians for this garbage that they be on. And I want to know if anyone is familiar with the story of Katt Williams when he was on Club Shay Shay, that's Shannon Sharp's podcast, and he was talking about all the issues surrounding these comedians today. He highlighted a lot of issues, and he had his brushes with the law. He had his brushes with jail. He done been through some trials and tribulations. He done been through some things. But I want to know what y'all think about. Y'all think that he's telling the truth about all the allegations that he's made about people like Steve Harvey, for example. He called out Steve Harvey. He said Steve Harvey stole his whole idea for his show, that Steve Harvey show, where he was a music teacher and he was supposed to be some type of music teacher and kind of a mentor, somewhat a mentor to the youth. He stole that whole idea from this one comedian named Mark Curry, who had a similar comedy TV show called Hanging with Mr. Cooper. And Mr. Cooper, I think he was a gym teacher. And so Mark Curry, he was kind of like the gym teacher, the mentor to the youth. And so Mark Curry, very, very, very funny guy. And his show was very popular. So what happened with Mark Curry was that he his show, he went for quite a few years with his show, and he was very interested in his show, right? So now Katt Williams is saying that people like Steve Harvey, he could never make it as a movie star. He could never make it as a movie star. He talked about Steve Harvey and talked about how Steve Harvey said that the reason that he quit stand-up comedy was because he had 7 TV shows that he was working on at the exact same time. Count that, 7 TV shows that he was working on at the exact same time. Steve Harvey said, and he said this in many interviews, that that's the reason why he quit stand-up comedy. And you all know Steve Harvey from not just the Steve Harvey show, but from Kings of Comedy. And we'll get to there in a minute. Because I want to know what y'all think about Katt Williams and his spiel, the way he blasted all the comedians. He didn't pull no punches. He didn't hold, what no holds barred. He spoke about everybody. He spoke about all issues. He spoke about some of the sexual issues that go on in Hollywood, some of the compromises that people make in Hollywood to become successful. But I want to talk about first, we're going to talk about his issue with Steve Harvey. Because Steve Harvey said that the reason that he quit stand-up is because he had seven TV shows that he was working on at the exact same time. So let's talk about Steve Harvey first, because I looked it up and researched and did a little bit of research, but I also already knew quite a bit of information about Steve Harvey because personally I feel that Steve Harvey is someone to admire, someone to look up to. However, just because he's someone to admire and look up to doesn't mean that he's always been that way. So I'm talking about Steve Harvey. He's not always, excuse me, y'all. Steve Harvey hasn't always been a straight up and down guy. So This is the guy that Katt Williams is talking about, because it's hard to believe that you were just an up and coming comedian, stand up comedian. And to be honest, you weren't very, very funny. You had kind of dry humor to your jokes. Not like Chris Rock, but you had that dry humor. It's kind of hard to believe that you had 7 shows in the making or in the working at the very time that you decided to step down from stand-up comedy. Now, this is what Katt Williams said. He said the reason why Steve Harvey stepped down from stand-up comedy is because I'm gonna make this real short and brief with this particular issue here. Say we look alike, huh? So he said the reason why Steve Harvey stepped down from stand-up comedy is because they were on a particular show together, comedy show together, and it turned into a comedy championship. A comedy championship. Follow me, y'all. It turned into a comedy championship. And Katt Williams is saying his jokes, and he talked about Katt Williams. Katt Williams said that Steve Harvey hair, that high top fade he used to wear. Wow, now that I think about it, on the Steve Harvey show, Steve Harvey's name was Mr. High Top. He was the music teacher named Mr. High Top. So anyway, that's an interesting fact. So Katt Williams said that he talked about Steve Harvey having fake hair. That whole high top fade was fake. He said, and that ruined him. He lost the comedy championship to none other than Mr. Hightower. You're right, Mr. Hightower. But he had the high top. That's what made me think of the high top. Thank you for checking me on that. Thank you for checking me on that. What's that? Our Irish World. And so Katt Williams said he joked about Steve Harvey having the fake high top fade. He said that hair was fake. And, the show went on or whatever. And Katt Williams won the comedy championship. And that right there is what drove Steve Harvey to no longer pursuing stand-up comedy. That's not to say he wasn't a funny guy. That's not to say he wasn't a businessman. That's not to say he wasn't making money. That's not to say he would not have made it in Hollywood or whatever. I am just saying that Katt Williams has specifically stated that that's why Steve Harvey quit stand-up. He said that Steve Harvey could never make it as a actor, as a superstar actor, like a Denzel Washington, or one of them type of caliber people. He said Steve Harvey could never make it in that arena. First of all, he doesn't have the chops. He said he don't know how to act. But he say Steve Harvey stole his entire style from Mark Curry. Mark Curry did Mr. Cooper. Mark Curry was Mr. Cooper on his comedy show. And Steve Harvey took his whole act. Steve Harvey kind of favor his brother or something. But he took his whole act. And so that was the take with Steve Harvey. And Steve Harvey, he talked about how Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, and Ricky Smiley are all bosom buddies. Now, I said that for a reason. He didn't really go in on Cedric the Entertainer other than to say that Cedric the Entertainer, Steve Harvey, and Ricky Smiley are bosom buddies. And they're not going to go against each other for no reason. Now, Katt Williams, on the other hand, talked about Ricky Smiley. Because Ricky Smiley said that in the movie, in Ice Cube's movie, Friday After Next, where Ricky Smiley played Santa Claus that was still in the toys. He played the Grinch in Santa Claus clothing that was still in the toys. Ricky Smiley said that he was supposed to play the role of Money Mike, who was the pimp played by Katt Williams. Katt Williams said Ricky Smiley is a lie and the truth ain't in him. He said, first of all, Ricky Smiley had an issue with even using curse words. And what type of person would Ricky Smiley be if he had this church congregation behind him and now he got to play the role of a pimp in the movie? He said also, Ricky Smiley can't act at all. He cannot even act in a role as a man such as Tyler Perry. That's what Katt Williams said. He said him and Tyler Perry can't act in a role as a man for their whole life. They can't act at all as a man because they're good acting as women. That's why Ricky Smiley's movies, he acts as a woman most of the time. Tyler Perry's movies, he acts as a woman most of the time, right? His men roles are not captivating. So he said that people like Ricky Smiley act as a woman. And I have to say, I've seen Ricky Smiley in his movies as a woman. And I've seen him try to act, in quote, like a man. And I would have to say that he sucks in the man actor role. And he's funny in the female actress role. Same thing with Tyler Perry. And that's what Katt Williams was saying about him. He said, furthermore, if Ricky Smiley was supposed to be playing Money Mike in Friday After Next, if he was supposed to be playing Money Mike and Katt Williams was supposed to be playing the Grinch in Santa Claus suit, he said, how does that sound when Katt Williams wrote the script for the role of Money Mike? How was Ricky Smiley supposed to play the role that Katt Williams wrote for himself? Katt Williams say Ricky Smiley is just lying. And that's what he do. He say he ain't got a truthful bone in his body. He went in on Ricky Smiley. And I would have to say that I don't think Katt Williams is lying. He further said that Ricky Smiley complained and cried all day, talking about the very role that he was scheduled to play, which was the Grinch in Santa Claus suit. So go and get off the live then. That's what you do. So Ricky Smiley, he said, was just making up stories, trying to boost himself up. And he said that, moreover, when he was given the role of Money Mike, he said the original scene, bathroom scene in that movie, it was supposed to be a rape scene. Money Mike was supposed to get raped. He said maybe that's why Ricky Smiley wanted that role. But Katt Williams said he talked to the producers and he said, no, I don't want that to be a scene because rape under any circumstances ain't funny. And I agree with him there. Rape under any circumstances ain't funny. You cannot make a joke about someone being raped. And so that's what Katt Williams said. He said that he did not agree with that part of the movie, that bathroom scene, being a rape scene. He said, so he had to go to the producers and say, look, no, we're going to do it this way. Why don't we do it this way? And he said, he told them, if you would let me do it this way, I can guarantee you that it's going to be funny. But we can't do a rape scene and make jokes about it, because rape is serious under whatever the circumstances. There is no movie that I have personally seen where there was a rape scene that was funny. I have never seen one. And Katt Williams had a point. Katt Williams had a point. He did not want to be this black guy in a nice movie, in a nice black movie that was going to be rape. He didn't think that that would enhance the movie. He didn't think that that would make the movie more watchable. He didn't think that that would make the movie or the actresses and actors in the movie more captivating to an audience if they included a rape scene in a comedy and made it out to be a joke. But yet, Ricky Smiley didn't speak out against that. And he said that Ricky Smiley did not speak out against them having a rape scene in a comedy movie and making a joke about it. Katt Williams said he had to stand up. Katt kept it real and exposed everything in Hollywood. So, and like I said, he talked about Steve Harvey and how Steve Harvey was a lie. Oh, by the way, yeah, he also said that they tried to, he talked about D.L. Hughley. He said, D.L. Hughley, that's his guy. D.L. Hughley keeps it real. That's his guy. He said, Bernie Mac, he said, man, one of the reasons why he could not partake with Steve Harvey and them in a Kings of Comedy is because he could not sit back and watch these comedians take a dump on the king himself, Bernie Mac. He could not sit back and allow them to take a dump on Bernie Mac, who made the Kings of Comedy. Because the Kings of Comedy was Steve Harvey's tour. But Steve Harvey, as we know, was nowhere near as funny as Bernie Mac. So Steve Harvey, he went last because it was his show, not because he was the real closer, because no one can go behind Bernie. No one can go behind Bernie. And Katt Williams gave Bernie every bit of honor. He gave D.L. Hughley every bit of honor. He gave his other brother, Dave Chappelle, every bit of honor. And it's my humble opinion that he hit the nail on his head when he talked about those particular brothers that I just named. But let me go and let's talk about how he talked about how people would, actors in the next Friday in that movie, they complained about Ice Cube. He said they complained that Ice Cube wasn't paying them. Ice Cube wasn't paying them the type of money that the other folk would pay him. He said, hold on, hold your horses. Hold your horses. You talking about a brother Ice Cube who didn't have the money and the backing that all these other Hollywood producers have. This was low budget. Much of this was done out of Ice Cube's pocket. So how could you expect to get all of the money that you would get from a $200 million franchise out of a person like Ice Cube. You making a classic movie, and let me just say this here. That classic movie helped a lot of people get to where they are today. It was those low budget films that helped a lot of people get to where they are today. That's real talk. Like the Spike Lee movies. Those movies helped a lot of people get to where they are today. Next Friday, or the Friday franchise, produced people like Mike Epps. Come on. It produced people like Mike Epps. It put people in position so they can become their own boss. That's what that movie did. And Katt Williams stood up for Ice Cube. And he said, no, y'all got that all wrong. Y'all expecting for him to get you expecting a big payday out of Ice Cube for a movie that's not a $200 million movie like these other movies that you are now acting in today, 20 years later. Because you started out back there with Ice Cube. You started out back there with Spike Lee. You started out back there with those, I forgot the brothers that was making the movies back in the day. The two brothers made Boys in the Hood and stuff like that. So it's those movies that help propel people to where they are today. And so this was an interesting take right here, though, that my man, I love Katt Williams. The man is funny. To me, he's one of the funniest men out today, period. But there is some other people who are funny and sometimes as funny as him, but they're not consistently funny like he is funny. You can just look at him and he's funny. If he walk on a stage, you're going to laugh. If he take off his hat, you're going to laugh. If he open his mouth, you're going to laugh. Because when he come to people, he come with the sole intent of softening up people with comedy. He's not even looking for the bankroll. Because fun fact about Katt Williams is he funded all of his own stuff. He didn't have Hollywood backing. In fact, in his own words, he said he turned down 4 $50 million contracts. 4 $50 million contracts. He turned them down. Same type of contract they tried to give Dave Chappelle, and Dave Chappelle said, oh, no, I'm good. He said he turned down 4 $50 million contracts, and he alluded, he insinuated that one of his reasons for turning down 4 $50 million contracts is because he did not want to be a part of that elite group who now has to go through certain rituals. And he said it himself. He said he wanted to protect his butthole. He said because P. Diddy, just look at the connection that he's making. People with a lot of money in Hollywood, and then he make that connection with Diddy, and he said he had to protect his butthole. He said because Diddy be having a lot of parties. And he ain't want to be at none of them. So here we are back to Diddy. But he's using Diddy as the example to say that this is what goes on. When you make a lot of money, you're usually doing something in Hollywood. If you getting $50 million contracts out of nowhere, when you know you really ain't that funny, you'd have sold yourself. That's what he's saying. You'd have sold yourself. He said he refused 4 $50 million contracts. Let me just give you some numbers on Katt Williams, and I looked them up myself too. Katt Williams, by 2008, he had 9 comedy specials. No other comedian had 9 comedy specials, successful comedy specials at that. None. He had 9 of them. He had the top 2 comedy specials on HBO, Showtime, and then that's when he got with Netflix. About 2018. He was funding himself. He was paying his way. He did not have the Hollywood backing. He did not have a Hollywood backing because he didn't want a Hollywood backing. Because he knew that if he accepted that $50 million, like so many other brothers and sisters have, but not sisters because they don't even pay them enough. They play the women in Hollywood. And when I say women, I'm talking about any women. They play the women in Hollywood. Or should I say they pay the women in Hollywood like 25%, sometimes 10% of what they pay the man. So they're not even getting the $50 million contract, $50 million deal. They're getting a $10 million deal, $15 million deal, if that. But Katt Williams say he did not want that deal. He said he'd rather fund himself. He'd rather fund himself than to accept a deal that requires him selling his soul, and he used this term, and his virgin whole. He refused to sell his soul and his virgin whole for $50 million. And now that makes me look back at my brother Dave Chappelle, who also refused or turned down a $50 million contract. What is Dave Chappelle doing out right today? In all his comedy specials that he's doing today, what is he doing? Is he putting people on blast? Is he exposing people? Ain't it interesting how all of this stuff is starting to come out after Diddy? Although there was someone hinting around to it, leading up to Diddy, exposing the industry. Michael Jackson did it many, many years ago. He talked about Tommy Mottola many, many years ago. Talked about how racist he was, how he was trying to hold them back and would not allow him to do anything. Talked about what he did to black artists. Then you had, I'm going to go all the way a lot of years ahead with Kanye West, the person that they say got mental problems. But just listen to him. Haven't he been saying everything that's coming out today involving the industry and the corruption in the industry and the corruption by the big execs? Haven't Kanye West been saying this all along? He's been saying this all along. We just wasn't listening. Because we also, and I have to say this, and I'm gonna get back to Katt Williams, but I have to say this about Kanye West. I remember when he came out with the song Gold Digger, and he said, and once you get on, you leave your chick for a white girl. And once he got on, what did he do? You heard what I said. Once he got on, what did he do? He went and got a white girl. Her name was Kim Kardashian. And from there, he had to watch his step. He had to watch his step. He had to watch what he say. He had to watch what he do. He had to watch where he go. He had to watch where he lay his head. He had to watch what he eat. He had to watch what he drink. And I'm not saying nothing bad about Kim Kardashian. I'm talking about the system, the industry behind Kim Kardashian, the system behind the actors and actresses and musicians. And so now he is now regarded as someone who is just crazy. Well, I know Kim Kardashian are Armenian, and they're not necessarily considered white, but in Hollywood, they're considered white. So I'll just make that correction that you are right that Kim Kardashian is not actually white. She's Armenian, and Armenian are Asian, and therefore they are not Caucasian, and therefore she is not white. So I will make that correction. So Kanye West, he been putting all of this stuff on blast for a long time, but no one would listen to him. And then when he became a multi-billionaire, people looked at his meteoric rise and say, how did he get there so quick? How did he bypass so many people and get there? Still a question. And then, if he was really a billionaire, and I'm not saying he wasn't, I'm just saying if he was really a billionaire, how could he lose it just like that? Because he made a comment that a lot of white people and a lot of certain black actors who were not well known have been saying for years. But he lost it like that. So I'm saying that to say that because I'm about to bring this back full circle that Kanye West have been saying what Dave Chappelle is now saying for the longest. And guess what? Hollywood regards Dave Chappelle as having a mental problem too. Y'all see the pattern? Everybody that begins to expose the corruption in Hollywood is regarded as a problem, hard to work with, mentally ill, and they try to stop their success, cut off all of their water. And so that kind of brings me to this other guy. Because Katt Williams brought up Kevin Hart. He said, who do you know ever went to a sold out Kevin Hart show? And I have to say that I looked up Kevin Hart shows and he have had some sold out shows. I will say that the boy is funny. He's funny as hell to me. He's really, really funny. But what Katt Williams said makes so much sense. He talked about the actors, the black actors, how they are propelled to stardom if they ever play a female role, put on dresses and stuff like that. He said he refused to do that. Katt Williams said he refused to put on a dress. He's standing 10 toes down. He's standing on his integrity. He said, that's not to take away from what these other brothers may be doing. That's them. But he said, for me, it's the issue of my integrity that will not allow me to engage in wearing dresses and high heel shoes, pretending to be a woman, whether it's acting or otherwise. I can't do that. And he stood on that. And I wanna give you this caveat and make this point. He made the point, and I'm making a point for myself as well. I am not homophobic. He said, I don't have anything against the LGBTQ community. He's talking about how Hollywood shoves this down black people's throat. That if it's the emasculation of our men in comedy, absolutely. He said, the men who have made it big in the comedy world have worn dresses. Now, I want y'all to think about what I'm saying and think about what he said. The men whom have made it big in Hollywood through comedy have worn dresses. Now, you name to me one person who made it real big out of comedy in Hollywood and they didn't wear a dress. I'm waiting. There is no Somebody said Eddie Griffin. Eddie Griffin is not big. He's comedian. Denzel Washington wasn't in comedy. Eddie Murphy acted like a woman many times. Bernie Mac was not big in comedy. Will Smith wore a dress and kissed a man. Red Fox was not big in Hollywood. Eddie Murphy was a comedian who wore a dress. LL was never big in Hollywood like a Denzel Washington, so he never had to wear a dress. He never did. Dave Chappelle was never big like that either. So all of the big name black comedians who made it real big in Hollywood, who have they sold out shows, etc., have worn dresses, pretended to be women, all of that. Martin Lawrence, come on, man. First of all, Mike Epps ain't big like that. Mike Epps don't have his own movies. Eddie Murphy has his own movies. Tyler Perry has his own movies. Martin Lawrence has his own movies. Will Smith has his own movies. Kevin Hart has his own movies. These are people who came up in comedy that's real big and can run their own TV show, run their own movies. And all of them wore dresses. But that's not even the point that I'm making or Kevin or Katt Williams was making. The point that he's making is this is what Hollywood is doing. They're making us believe, and they're indoctrinating us to believe that if you want to make it in Hollywood, put on that dress, act like a woman. Then I can give you 50 million, and now you're a part of this elite club, this secret society. And we already know from the news over the last month or so what goes on in this secret society. Come on. We know what's going on in the secret society now because it has been exposed, and it's continuing to be exposed today. So now, Katt Williams, he talked about how he turned down all this money because he wanted to protect his virgin hold, and he wanted to stand on his integrity. He said some people don't do that in Hollywood. And we know that to be true. Some people around here, I know you got a cousin, aunt, uncle, friend, or somebody that sell themselves for $10, $20, $30. And you get these people who came from the mud like we come from, and they talking about 50 million. You see what Dave Chappelle said? He said, man, I came from nothing. And you talking about giving me $50 million? Hell no. He turned it down, and they regarded him as crazy. Katt Williams turned it down and they regarded him as crazy. Come on, man. Come on, man. Everybody that turned down P. Diddy or left P. Diddy's camp, they regarded them as being hard to work with or crazy. Everybody that turned away from Clive Davis deal, Tommy Mottola deals, they regarded them as crazy. I know y'all remember this sister named Monique. What did they regard her as? Because she stood on her integrity. What did they regard her as? She's hard to work with. She's crazy. She's going through some stuff. That was Monique. Funny as one of the funniest females out today, period. But let's continue on with this Katt Williams interview on Club Shay Shay. Let's break it down some more. So Katt Williams went to talking about the Fast and Furious franchise and how they offered Ludacris $200 million for 10 of the installments. So that'd be, I guess, $20 million a piece or whatever, something like that. And they're going to give him $200 million. Well, Katt Williams said Ludacris joined the Illuminati when he took that deal. He said he joined the Illuminati. Now, I want to bring y'all attention. First, we're going to talk about Ludacris. Ludacris responded with a freestyle rap. I love Ludacris, but freestyle, No. I love you, Ludacris, man. I love you. You innovative, you creative, all of that. But Katt Williams said that Ludacris joined the Illuminati when he accepted a $200 million contract to play in the all 10 installments of Fast and Furious. Ludacris say he never did that, and that he stand on who he is. That's how he got the roles. And Katt Williams say, just look at his follow the money trail. Follow the money trail. Ludacris say he's not part of this Illuminati because right now we know what the Hollywood ritual is once you get all that money. So naturally, so-called alpha males are all going to say, no, I'm not, hell no, I didn't do that. Because we know from all news reports as of late, what happens when people come in contact with millions and millions of dollars and they begin to attend P. Diddy parties. We already know now. They got pastors there. They got men, women, and children there. And the people that go there partake in all acts. And again, I'm not saying anything bad about the acts that they partake in unless they partake in acts with children. I absolutely am saying everything negative about these individuals that partake in acts with children. Sex trafficking, human trafficking, child trafficking. So, Ludacris denied being a part of the Illuminati. He denied accepting this money and joining the Illuminati. But let me just give you some history on the Fast and Furious, some of the actors in the Fast and Furious. You have, we know who the star is, Vin Diesel. A few years ago, Vin Diesel came out as being bi, right? Right? He came out as being bi. All right. It's this other actor. They say, well, right now he suffers from certain mental illness right now. His name's Tyrese, right? The other girl in the Fast and Furious franchise, the girl, I think she's Mexican or Puerto Rican, Michelle, she's LGBTQ, right? Ethan Hawke, rest in peace to that brother. He developed certain issues and was doing what he did, and unfortunately lost his life in doing Vin Diesel was on the Jeffrey Epstein list. He made the list. Vin Diesel made the list, the Epstein list. Come on, man. So now you talk about the Fast and Furious franchise. And you have a little child actor who was also on the Fast and Furious franchise, which I want to bring people, Paul Walker, my fault, not Ethan Hawke, Paul Walker, my fault. I like Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke played in Training Day. Paul Walker, rather. You had a child actor who also played in the Fast and Furious. And I wonder now, because he was around P. Diddy too. And he's been real quiet lately. It's a couple of them that's behind him who's been real quiet. I'm talking about none other than Bow Wow. Come on, y'all. So now, when Katt Williams bring up that Ludacris joined the Illuminati when he accepted this money, Katt Williams have every reason to say what he's saying. Whether it's true or not is a different issue. But he has every reason to say what he's saying when he at one point rubbing elbows with these guys, and you was my guy yesterday, and now you over there, and now you walking different, and now you talking different, now you're acting different, now you're treating people different. Now the mood changed, the energy changed. There's something went on. That's what he's saying. So now Ludacris came back and responded and said, no, he made his own through making his bones in Hollywood. You know, and listen, I love Ludacris, but that's hard to believe with all the stuff that we know today. That people just made it in Hollywood. They made $50 million in Hollywood, baby. I said, baby. Baby made 2, 3, 400, 500, 600 million. Come on, Rick Ross. Come on now. So you want us to believe that with all the stuff that we now know, that you all just made all this money so quickly and you didn't have to do anything. And I didn't say anything sexually. I'm just talking about anything. That you didn't have to give a part of yourself over to something or someone. There's no other genre of music, no other race of people that make drill music, talk about slaughtering their own people, except us. And the music industry, we sell the most records of all genres of music. Why? Why is people so willing to invest in us, indoctrinating us with committing heinous crimes against our own? Why? We the only people who make drill music. So when we talk about Hollywood and the corruption and the indoctrination of hatred, we're talking about what they're doing to people, how we sell our soul to them for that money. We sell our soul. We're talking about, come on, man. We come from the mud. We ain't got no money, man. We hate to even have a car note because we scared that we ain't going to be able to pay it next month. And now you come in contact with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 million. Now you come in contact with 100 million. Now you come in contact with 2 and 3 and 400 million, $500 million. Come on, man. And you want us to believe that you ain't do nothing to get this money except your talent. Come on, man. There's too many other people talented out here, man. Far more talented than you. They just ain't rubbed elbows with the Epsteins, the Harvey Weinsteins. They just ain't rubbed elbows with them people. The Jimmy Iobeens, Clive Davises. They just ain't rubbed elbows with Quincy Jones like you did. And I'm glad a lot of people didn't rub elbows with them individuals that I just named and so many more that I did not name. I'm glad that they didn't rub elbows with them because it'd be hell to tell the captain. There'd be a whole lot more victims. That's what happens when people rub elbows with them. That's why Kevin Hart got mad at Katt Williams when Katt Williams was putting people on blast and he talked about Tiffany Haddish in 2018. He said she have not made her bones in the comedy world yet. She have not made her bones. And how would they skip over all of these other funny women to put Tiffany Haddish in Girl Trip? How would they skip over all of these other women who've been making their bones in comedy for 15, 20 years ahead of her? Some of them are just as beautiful as her. But yet they skipped over all these women to put Tiffany Haddish in Girl Trip. And that's not to say that she's a bad actress, because we love Tiffany Haddish. But his point is that Tiffany Haddish, just as the men sell their souls in Hollywood, his point is that Tiffany Haddish sold a part of herself. She was married to a white guy. And I'm only saying this part just for reference and context. She was married to a white guy when she used to do her stand-up. When she got on her feet, she got rid of him. So who you think is directing these actresses and actors and rappers and singers, when they get all this money, who you think is pulling the strings behind the scenes saying, no, I don't think that you should stick with them because that's not a good look for you. You got to get rid of them. Got to get rid of them. That's not a good look for you. You're not going to make it. I'm going to tell you somebody else, and I'm sticking to the subject of Katt Williams, but this is a part of the type of stuff he's talking about. You take that girl, Julia Stiles from Say the Last Dance. She fell in love with the black guy on the show, right? How many roles did she receive after that? I'll sit and wait. She fell in love with the black guy. And I'm not saying anything racist behind it. I'm telling you what the industry. I'm talking about how they look. They say, look, you're not going to make it in Hollywood if these are the type of roles that you want. You want to be the love interest of a black guy. So what did she do? She no longer became love interest of black guys and really was in any black movie. She went and got down with the Born Identity franchise with Matt Damon in them. And I hate to say it this way, but I can't wait till all the allegations come out about Matt Damon and whatever his best friend name is. Y'all know Matt Damon and the guy that go with Jennifer Lopez. I think, yeah, he went with Jennifer Lopez. When all the allegations come out about them, because they've been circling around, Ben Affleck, they've been circling around them for the longest too. So you have these people who, just like when P. Diddy was going with Jennifer Lopez, and he was a bad boy, right? This before he was really making all the money. The powers that be told Jennifer Lopez, look, if you want to make it, you can't be messing around with that type of cat, because he's going to keep you in the hood. He's going to have you coming into studios where people is getting shot at, like Tupac did. He's going to have you coming in the studios where people getting shot and robbed at. We don't want to invest in you like that. Because if you invest your time in him, then we can't invest our money in you because you're a bad investment. What Jennifer Lopez do? Come on, man. Follow the story. Follow the story. What did she do? She separated from Puffy. Then if you remember what happened also prior to her separating, that's where that shooting happened with Shine, and Puffy was there. So those investors say, I'm not investing in you, Jennifer. You a bad investment. Look who you hang with. Look at the type of guys you hang with. Look at the type of guy. And so she left. Shine got locked up. Puffy got off, which we're going to talk about that too, because he didn't just, anyway, we're going to talk about that. So Shine got off. Puffy sent them out the country. Didn't send him no money while he was locked up. Didn't give his mama no money. His mama said she gave her $1,000. But yet her son took the case for P. Diddy. So Jennifer Lopez had to go her separate ways because she was not going to make it in Hollywood hanging on the elbow of P. Diddy. Right? So she got with Mark Anthony. They had their children. She got with Ben Affleck and whoever else she got with. But she wasn't with Puffy no more. And so, and there's probably many other reasons why, now that we know a lot of things about P. Diddy, there's probably a whole lot of other reasons why she left P. Diddy too. Probably seen some stuff. I hate to even accuse a brother. But man, all these allegations, some got to be true. People ain't just making up this stuff about you, P. Diddy. Come on, man, little boys and little girls. Ain't nobody off limits. Men, women, children. What's that guy back in the days? He said something like, hide your wife, hide your kids. Yeah, you got to hide your wife and hide your kids around P. Diddy. So anyway, so now Kevin Hart got mad at Katt Williams for talking about Tiffany Haddish. Kevin Hart said that Katt Williams messed up all of his connections in Hollywood because he wouldn't show up to certain promos. He refused to do certain shows. He had everything bad to say about Katt Williams' character. But he told Katt Williams, man, you need to tighten up. He said Katt Williams was using drugs. Does Katt Williams using drugs tell the story about why he refused to turn down $200 million? But that's how Kevin Hart tried to make Katt Williams out to be a bad guy, just by saying that, you know, you messed up a lot of contacts. You didn't show up at promos. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. But Katt Williams is saying, I didn't show up at a whole lot of that stuff because you show up there, you end up at P. Diddy parties. You end up at P. Diddy parties, now your most sacred hole has been penetrated. I believe Katt Williams. Because I'm looking at, it's a lot of talent out there. It's a lot of people who are so talented out there and that will have made it on their talent alone. I agree. People like Jamie Foxx, people like Martin Lawrence, people like Kevin Hart, they would make it on their talent alone, right? If the industry had a level playing field. But because the industry doesn't have a level playing field, once you sign your name on that contract, that $50 million contract, that whatever $1 million contract, and you don't read the fine print, that if you sign this contract, you will then receive notice and you will then have to mandatorily report to Diddy's flavor camp. You will have to report to some of our parties that we have. You will have to report to secret societies. You will have to sacrifice something in your family or in your life that will tell us that you are committed to the cause and the direction and the forward movement of what this secret society is about. Come on. I mean, I'm just being real. I'm using my imagination because I have seen definitely, I have seen some contracts that we enter into on this level, on this minute level of existence and work and employment. And you read the fine print and it's bold. They sell your information to everybody. So if they put it on stuff that we deal with every day and we ain't making no money, imagine the unwritten fine print that's in these contracts. DC Young Fly, all of a sudden he blowing up. And ain't funny. He say some funny stuff, but he ain't really funny. Come on, man. You notice it's another child actor who's a superstar right now. He hasn't spoke out or said anything right now. Come on, man. Y'all know who I'm talking about, man. Nick Cannon. Come on. Ain't said nothing. Refuse to say anything. Sometimes if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. Sometimes if you don't want to be a part of the party, don't come out. And he ain't coming out. He's doing the right thing. Stay in the house. Because anybody that come out the house is going to be a part of the party, and anybody a part of the party will become a victim. You're going to become a predator or a victim. You might become both of them, whichever one you choose, but you got to choose one. And Katt Williams say, I refuse to choose either one of those. I'm not acting in next Friday in no rape scene. And I want to feed this rape scene to my people like it's funny. I'm not doing that. I applaud that brother. I applaud that brother. He refused to act in a rape scene in a comedy. I applaud that brother. And I believe 99% of what this brother said, because I researched a lot of it, about Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Kevin Hart, Ludacris. I researched some of this stuff. It's easy. All you got to do is go Google it. You'll find out if that man telling the truth. Don't condemn him if you don't even, if you haven't not researched on your own to find out if there's any truth to what he's saying. Just research it. You know. So that's what I did. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna I'm not gonna condemn that brother because it sounds like he's disgruntled. He got every reason to be disgruntled. But just because he's disgruntled don't mean that he's telling a lie. He's disgruntled because people have tried to steal his talent. People have tried to defame his character. So naturally he's disgruntled. When you got a person like Steve Harvey, act, act like a man, act like a woman, think like a man. He said that's what a lot of those that's the indoctrination process. Act like a woman, think like a man. Put on these dresses, although you are a man. Put on these dresses, although you are a man. That's what he's saying. I agree. Put on these dresses, although you are a man. Act like a woman. Act. The key word is being act. Become an actress. Act like a woman, but think like a man because sexually, you are a man. You're just acting like a woman. Come on, man. Follow the storyline. The devil will grab certain people and they will dress those certain people up to our liking. They will dress those certain people up to our liking. They will put them in the nice diamond Cuban link chains and Cuban link bracelets and Rolex watches, all bezeled and what they call them new watches, Hublots and all them other new watches that they have put them in those watches because they know that that's what captivate the mind of the people. That's what will hold the mind of the people. And then what the devil will do is he'll make that person accessible to you. He'll make that person accessible to you. The devil will make his agents accessible to you. The devil will wrap his agents in biblical scripture and allow his agent, fund his agent, promote his agent to come to you, to turn you against your own self. That's what they're doing in Hollywood. That's what Katt Williams is talking about. So people can say that Katt Williams is just an old angry guy. And I could say that too. He sound angry. But it don't take away from the truth. Sometimes you find yourself so pissed off at seeing some of your, who used to be some of your closest friends, who used to be a straight up and down guy. Sometimes it hurt to see some of your closest friends and comrades engage in the very conduct that we was warned about before we even took this travel down this road. I can remember when I was in prison, some of my friends that I grew up with, I'm talking about, we fought, we beat up people, we sold some stuff on the street, we stole some cars, we did some things together. I seen that what they was doing with their life in there hurt me, traumatized me. I was hurt and traumatized all together at the same time. I was baffled because some of these guys I looked up to. So I can imagine the conversations that people like Katt Williams and Dave Chappelle's and Martin Lawrence's and Kevin Hart's and all of these guys in that comedic community, they had certain conversations. They said the things that they will and won't do. They said the places that they won't go. the limits that they will never cross, those boundaries. And then when the door opens and you can see that pot of gold right there, they walk over there. And then even after seeing who's on the other side of that door with that pot of gold, that devil is standing there and that devil saying, come on, all of this can be yours. If you would give your life over to the things that may cause you to lose honor amongst your own. That's straight from the Bible, y'all. Remember, Jesus went to the wilderness and Satan came upon him in his mind, and he told Jesus to look down upon that city. All of that can be yours if you would just cast yourself down. I'm going to make sure that you do not hit the ground. I'm going to make sure that you do not fall. Just jump. Take a leap of faith. Jump. And all of that down there will be yours. How many brothers in Hollywood took that jump? And the devil promised them that they will not hit the ground when they jump. He didn't promise them that he's going to keep them from hitting the ground in the long run. He just said, in this moment, if you do it right now, I'm going to make sure that you don't hit the ground. And so many people sold their soul. And years later, they hitting the ground. P. Diddy hitting the ground right now. He hitting the ground right now. I don't believe all the allegations against R. Kelly, but I believe a lot of them. He sold his soul in that moment, and he hit the ground. Later on in life, he hit the ground. You know, you have so many other Epsteins and Harvey Weinsteins, and even with Bill Cosby, we know some of the stuff, even though I don't believe a lot of that stuff either, because he was using the same stuff he was giving them. They knew he was giving them the stuff because he was using it with you. So, but he still sold himself over to an idea that if you sell yourself, if you would give yourself to this idea, I will make sure that you do not hit the ground. Just jump. That's what the tempter told Jesus. Just jump. I got you. And that's what Katt Williams is telling us right now. That's what Kanye West is telling us right now. That's what Dave Chappelle is telling us right now. That the tempters, the devil's agents in Hollywood, they are taking little boys out to their mansions, and they're telling little boys, see that car right there? I'm going to let you drive that, but you got to sacrifice something. You see that mansion right there? I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you that $5 million man. I'm giving that to you. But you have to throw yourself down right now. I am not going to allow you to touch the ground. I'm going to catch you. Ain't that what Orlando Brown is telling us right now? That this is what was going on? All the drugs. They feed these brothers and sisters drugs. Katt Williams is telling us some stuff. Katt Williams is exposing the other dark side of the industry when it comes to the people that make us laugh. Katt Williams is telling us that as much as he commits his life to making us laugh, he is suffering so much pain along the way because so many people whom he once thought was with him and who probably was once with him are now jagging at his back with a knife, creeping and crawling through the grass like snakes. So, Katt Williams, to me, stands for, he said it himself, he said, I came on Club Shay Shay. He said, you knew when I came on that I was coming to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. He said, the stuff that I'm saying is in black and white. If you don't believe me, go look it up yourself. Go look it up yourself. If you don't believe me. He didn't leave no empty statements. He didn't lead people down a dark road with no ending or a rabbit hole. He didn't lead people like that. He said, if you don't believe me, look it up. It's right there. All information that I'm telling you about is right there to your disposal. These stars are selling their souls. They're selling their souls to be amongst a group of people who are just waiting on the right time to take everything back away from them. Jay-Z, Beyonce. They waiting to take everything back away from them. Oprah Winfrey. They waiting to take everything back away from them. Tyler Perry. You think that because you rubbed the elbows with some of the biggest hitters in the world of Hollywood, you think that because you rub elbows with the devil himself, that he's going to protect you when that wrath comes swinging like a pendulum, back and forth, slicing and dicing everything in his path. I love my sister Oprah. I love my brother Tyler Perry. I love all the brothers and sisters who they are out here. They are someone to look up to and aspire to be like in their person, not their persona. I don't want to be like the persona. I want to be like the person, the spirit of the person. So when I look at Tyler Perry, I say, wow, that brother been created this empire, blah, 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 blah. I would like to have that fortitude, not that persona, because the persona that he has is Medea. The persona that so many of these other actors have is that female. Act like a woman, think like a man. The persona is the woman. The nature is the man. I'm inspired by the nature of man. I'm inspired by the nature of man. That's what I aspire to be like, the nature of the man. Because I know the true nature of the man is directly connected to a higher power. And that's what I aspire to be like, the nature of the man. I'm not going to act like a woman and think like a man. All due respect to the LGBT community, if you find someone who act like a woman and think like a man, I know you all will do this because I know too many of you all, and you all are gracious people, and that's that. You're no different than anyone else. Still watch your back, because when you have someone who acts like a woman but thinks like a man, that just means they're confused and mixed up. And they will sell their souls for anything. We have to be more mindful of those who we deal with. Because I'm going to tell you, this real talk right here. This is my subject. For far too long in our lives, we have dealt with too many people, too many guys in particular, who acted like a woman. Soft. Act like a woman. Soft. A woman is soft. A woman is emotional. Too many of the men that we have come in contact with, they act soft and they are emotional, like a woman. But oftentimes they're not even acting. They're not acting. So they can't even act like a woman and think like a man. They're not acting. That's just them. But it is incumbent upon us to recognize these signs and symbols so we can treat them accordingly. So we can vet them accordingly. Everybody gets vetted today. Men, women, and children. Everybody gets vetted today. Because this thing called life is precious to everybody. We all need to hang on to it and hold on to it and do the things with it that's necessary to build life and not tear down life. Because we keep on watching these people in Hollywood indoctrinate us with this nonsense. They using, and notice the stories they use. Like Katt Williams talked about how Steve Harvey said he was once homeless. He said Steve Harvey wasn't homeless. He said he was making $3,000 a week. $3,000 a week for his stand-up comedy. Katt Williams said, no, I was the one homeless. That wasn't Steve Harvey. My point in saying that is that the industry wants to feed us stories from people and use people that look like us to tell stories of poverty because they know that we can relate to it. We would then listen to him. If he told me, yeah, I sold dope all my life. I used dope all my life. I used to smoke crack. I used to use heroin. Yep, I used to be on the strip. I used to be in a game. So they know we'll listen to these people. They know we'll listen to Lil Wayne. They know we'll listen to Baby. When was the last time you seen Lil Wayne on your block? Or Baby on your block? When was the last time you seen them come to the elementary school to uplift some children? When? Tell me when. And we're going to talk about the gang stuff then. When was the last time you seen Lil Wayne, who claimed he a blood, whatever he is, when was the last time you seen him run with the gang in the streets of California, Chicago, New York, Florida? When? Houston, when? But yet, they pay these brothers to indoctrinate us. That's what Katt Williams is saying. They paying these brothers to indoctrinate us. They paying these sisters to indoctrinate us. Because as long as we indoctrinated, we're going to pay for their success. We're going to pay the big record execs back, the big movie execs back. We're going to pay them back by going to see the movies that they indoctrinated our people to make and turn them out and making these movies. We're going to pay these big execs back by going to see the movies, buying the CDs and all this other stuff. So they know this. These big execs, this stuff been in play for years, decades. We need to know this stuff. We need to understand that Dave Chappelle turned down $50 million for a reason. How many of us would turn down $50 million right now? Only reason I would in this sense is because my eyes have been open to it. If I accept this, the fine print, the unwritten fine print, I know. But for those who don't, imagine if you didn't know some of the things that you now know. And someone came to you and said, I got a spot for you in this new movie I'm making. But you got to wear a dress. And you got to, and we're going to invite you to some of our parties, our after parties too. How many of us, if we didn't know some of the things that we know, would jump on that? I'm using the term jump because that's what the tempter told Jesus when he told him to look down upon the city. And he said, all of that stuff down there could be yours if only you jump. How many of us would jump on that $50 million deal to be in a movie alongside Denzel Washington and alongside whoever, the other actors, Samuel L. Jackson and them, Angela Bassett, Halle Berry? How many of us would jump on that $50 million deal if we wasn't in tune with some of the stuff that we know today? That's how the tempter works. But they send out people. They send out people to soften us up, groom us. They send out people to soften us up and groom us. You hear what I said? Groom us. Because they know that if we are groomed right, we become an agent automatically. Because if we are groomed right, if we are groomed by a teacher, we can exceed the reach of the teacher because the teacher then taught us things and groomed us in such a way that we become even worse victims than them. And we become even more predatory than them. And we become even more worse groomers than them. So this whole process of indoctrination is what Katt Williams and Dave Chappelle and the little brother Lando Brown, Kanye West, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about how this system is it welcomes so many newcomers. They're greeted at the doors. They're greeted at the doors of Hollywood by people like P. Diddy. By people like P. Diddy's, one of P. Diddy's closest friends is Rick Ross. Come on. I just want y'all to think about that for a second. One of P. Diddy's closest friends is Rick Ross. Rick Ross rose to fame very, very, very quickly. And I have nothing really bad to say about him because I don't know anything about him. I am just alluding to the fact that this is one of Puffy's closest friends, and they said, if you want to know a person's character, watch the friends he keeps. Watch the friends he keeps. That doesn't mean that everybody who came in contact with P. Diddy is turned out. That don't mean that, or turned on for that matter. I am just making a point because Katt Williams was making a point when he talked about how Steve Harvey stole all of the joke and dialogue from Mark Curry and made it his own. Steve Harvey stole the story of being homeless from Katt Williams and made it his own. Steve Harvey said that he quit stand-up because he had 7 shows that he was working on all at once when the facts don't support it. There's no facts to support. I looked it up. There's no facts whatsoever to support that Steve Harvey was at any time in his career was working on 7 shows at once. Even today, there's no evidence to support anything like that. So now that lends weight to what brothers like Katt Williams is talking about. There's no evidence whatsoever to support that Steve Harvey ever had to come out of his pocket to make movies. There was always somebody behind him. He knew people. So now, when we listen to brothers like Katt Williams, we have to listen to them. We have to stop judging people and say, well, he was arrested. That man been drinking that. Hey, I heard a story about people who's got that alcohol or that drug in their system. That's like a serum. That's a truth serum. Listen to him. You know. Oh, yeah. Katt definitely mentioned Diddy. He said the reason why he turned down that $50 million 4 times, he said he knew that if he accepted that money, he said he know what comes with accepting that money because he was first talking about Dave Chappelle turning down the $50 million. But he said he know what comes with that money because he know that if he accept that money, what's going to happen? He said so he refused to accept that money because he wanted to protect his sacred hold. He wanted to protect his sacred hold. His sacred hole he was talking about was his butthole. He said, because Diddy be having all them parties, and I ain't trying to go there. So that tells me that people are being forced to go to Diddy parties. They being forced. Because when these investors give all this money to you, you owe them to be at that party. As a matter of fact, I am about to send notice to whoever is having a party that I'm sending you there. That way, when you arrive there, they know who I am already. They know I'm despicable. So if you arrive there by way of me, then they already know what I'm sending. And that's what Katt Williams said. I didn't want to accept that money because I know what comes with it. And did he have too many parties? I'm trying to protect my sacred hold. Was he just taking a shot at Diddy, or was he putting more facts on the floor? I think he was putting more facts on the floor. I think he was protecting his sacred hold. But more importantly, I think he was protecting his sanity, because he had been blackballed like Monique. He had been blackballed and made out to be such a bad guy, hard to work with. All Hollywood execs, they did come together behind the scenes and say, we ain't working with Katt Williams, y'all. Now, why would they all come together behind the scenes like that to say we ain't working with Katt Williams? We ain't working with Monique. Because all of them know the secrets about one another. They know the secret society. They know that. And all of this stuff, yeah, Sheer Gray from Empire, that young brother. Orlando Brown, that young brother. Usher, Justin Bieber. Come on, man. Tevin Campbell. The list goes on. And y'all remember it was some little young boys on Bad Boy too. Come on, man. But when you're too young to understand yourself, how to say no, and you don't have the courage or the strength or the fortitude to really say no, even when you don't answer or say no, that is accepted as an implicit yes in Hollywood. So now, that's right, B2K. Whatever happened to B2K? Y'all see my facial expression. All I know is that all of B2K, and please, LGBT community, don't take offense when I say this. I'm just making a point when I say it like this, because I'm just telling you how I seen stuff. When I seen B2K, all I seen was like young boys like they had sugar in their tank. That's what I seen. Love their music. But my point is that the people that they are around, and that's the point that Katt Williams is making. He said, I refuse to. Notice that Katt Williams, he never talked about hanging out in Hollywood. He never talked about hanging out with none of these big name stars. He hang with the people that either talks about the system or is outside of the system, got out of the system. He hang with those type of individuals, the D.L. Hugleys, who is not a part of that system anymore. He knew what time it was. He hang around with, or he communicate, associate with people like Dave Chappelle. Those are the individuals that he surround his intelligence with. That says so much to me about his character, because he said that when he entered this field or this profession of comedy, he did not leave his integrity at the door. And that's why it was easy for him to turn down a $50 million contract on 4 different occasions because he did not leave his integrity at the door. But he is the one, people like him, people like D.L. Hughley, people like Dave Chappelle, people like Kanye West, people like Monique. These are the people that Hollywood blackball, talk bad about, demonize, ostracize, and try to tell us that we should never want to be like them. Think about that. Hollywood tells us that we should never want to be like Dave Chappelle. We should never want to be like Katt Williams. We should never want to be like Kanye West. We should never want to be like Monique. Come on. Come on, man. So we should never be like people who stand up. But we should want to be like Tyler Perry, Ricky Smiley, Kevin Hart, Martin Lawrence, Eddie Murphy, the Wayans brothers. That's who we should want to be like, huh? Will Smith. It's all right for us to aspire to be like them. And again, I have no issue with their sexuality. I'm talking about how the system tries to shove sexuality down the throats of the people. And they shove this sexuality down our throat while behind the scenes, they're grooming more young people to masquerade before our faces. They're molesting and abusing more young people to masquerade them before our face. So they can grow up in TV, in movies, and we could say, I remember when he was young and he was this and she was that. I want my daughter to be like them. I want my son to be like them. When all the time, these are victims of child abuse. These are victims of child labor. These are victims of child and sex trafficking. But this is who the system wants us to aspire to be like. Because they don't want us to aspire to have the courage that Katt Williams has shown. They don't want us to aspire to have the courage that Dave Chappelle has shown. They don't want us to have the courage that D.L. Hughley has shown. Monique has shown. Mark Curry has shown. They don't want us to have this type of courage. Because when you can harness that type of courage, if you could spread this courage around, there will be no men acting like a woman, but thinking like a man. There will be no acting like a woman, but thinking like a man. I want you to act like a woman and think like a woman. Or I want you to act like a man and think like a man. Because just think of that. It says act, act. Act is an action. So you act like a woman, but you think like a man. That means that you are confused. Bottom line, you are confused. I don't want anyone around me that's acting like a woman, but thinking like a man. I want people around me that's strong, upright, independent, and fearless, who stand 10 toes down on what they believe in, and what they believe in is a righteous path. Those are the individuals that I want around me. I want individuals around me whom I can trust that they will always have my back, and they will always represent what's right and stand on what's right. They will always carve out, if there's no door to get through, no way to get down the righteous road, they will carve out their own path. That's what I want around me. I don't want people around me that is trying to lead me to early demise. I don't want people around me who's trying to indoctrinate me with sexual deviancy. I don't want people around me who's trying to indoctrinate me and get me to believe that molesting little children is somehow right. I don't want people around me who's trying to impose on me or get me to believe that money is worth more than my soul. I don't want people around me like that. I can't have people around me who feel like you only gonna do it for this long and after that you're gonna be good. I don't want people around me like that. I don't want people around me that think that they can hurt other people and it's all right. I don't want people around me that think that all lives are not important, that all lives don't matter. I don't want people around me like that. I want people around me who know, believe, stand on, promote, and advocate for all lives, for the rights of all people, for the non-judgment of all people. I want people around me who stand on a truth that don't need no support. I want people around me that's going to stand up and courageously tell the truth like Katt Williams did. Tell the truth like Dave Chappelle does. Tell the truth like Monique. I want people around me that's going to stand up in the face of adversity and tell the truth. I want people around me who's comfortable with being themselves. Because as I said before on several podcasts ago, as I said before, the hardest thing that I ever did in my life was trying to be somebody that I wasn't. Because I was always acting. I always had to act. That was the hardest thing that I ever had to do in my life, was being somebody that I wasn't. When I realized and learned how to be myself, I said, wow, this is easy. That don't even register right. It don't register right to me to this very day. When I said, wow, it was easy just being myself. Because society and this industry in particular teaches us to always put on an act. Hence the book, Act Like a Woman, Think Like a Man. Always wants us to put on an act. It don't promote genuinism. It don't promote realism. But we cannot allow that system to dictate to us what real means. Because real means real here, there, and everywhere. That means being authentic, natural, your nature. Again, listen, I make no qualms about what you do with your life. I don't. I can't make any qualms about how you decide to live your life, your sexual preferences, your social preferences. That's your life. It becomes an issue with people like me when children are a part of your sexual preference. That's when it becomes an issue. And it becomes an issue when you think that your money, that you could use your money to buy away the sexuality of children, or people for that matter. When you think that your money can buy away the sexuality of a young child, the sexuality of a woman or a man who's down on their luck, that's the definition of a predator. That's when it's my problem. Because I fight for the rights of all people. And everybody has a right to be treated equal and free. Everybody has a right to be treated with integrity and respect. That's not showing integrity and respect when you paying someone to bring a child to you so that you can have your way with that child. That's what Katt Williams is talking about. He's talking about all of this, the undertone, the scheming, the behind the scenes scheming in Hollywood, the corruption in Hollywood, the camaraderie behind the scenes in Hollywood. Hollywood makes superstar actors out of who they want to make superstar actors out of. But you have to go through their rituals. And that's in anything we do in life. You can go to church if you want to. The preacher just didn't become a preacher one day. He had to go through certain challenges, certain tests, certain teachings, certain processes. He had to go through all of this before he became the pastor of that church, right? At any company, we're going to take McDonald's. You don't just go into McDonald's and you never worked at any other franchise. Go in McDonald's and you're the manager. You got to go through a process. You got to show recruitment skills, job integrity. You got to show that you are of value. You are you're not a liability to the company. In school, nobody just goes to be the principal. One day I fill out an application to become part of the school system, and they say, "Well, you're the principal." No, you got to go through some trials and tribulations. You got to go through some stuff. You got to go through some training. You got to show your recruitment skills. Same thing in Hollywood. Same thing in the music industry. Why do you think some people don't understand it? Some people, so don't think that I'm saying everybody, because some people do it for genuine reasons because they're not a part of that particular system. But why do you think in the music industry, particularly in soul and R&B and hip hop, why do you think that so many people establish a record label? They get on their feet and then they got their own record label. Now they got some artists on their record label because they emulating the grooming process, but they emulating some of them for the right reason, but they emulating the grooming process that was handed down to them by Hollywood. They emulating the grooming process, the initiation process. You can believe that Steve Harvey didn't walk off the Steve Harvey show as Mr. Hightower and walk into $30 million. You can believe that. He had to go through a process. Somebody had to teach him and introduce him to some people. That's what Katt Williams is talking about. That introduction to people. When you go and sit in that room, and you know the room that you're sitting in, if you feel comfortable in this room, they know they got you already. You're not a challenge to them. So now they're just going to use you to get somebody else. You surrender yourself. But when you step in the room, being yourself, After you leave that interview, all they have to do is tap 2 or 3 times on the table, however they sign language is. No, we don't want him. We don't want her. He don't fit the mold. We don't think we could break him. We don't think we can break her. I'm just being real because I have vetted people in my life with me and a few of my guys, and so went to try to come hang around us and this, and that. And after so leave, me and my man will look at each other like, and he know what that means. Nah, he don't fit the mold. He don't fit the mold. So this is the same process that go on in Hollywood that Katt Williams is talking about. Somebody said, Oprah Winfrey said that if a 7-year-old boy gets touched and feels good, then it is good. I said, this is a sick world. Imagine that. Imagine that. And that's what I'm talking about. I was reading an article where they were saying that somebody said that what goes on in some of these houses is appalling. What goes on in some of these houses is appalling. And they wasn't talking about with adults. They talking about with the children at these adult houses. It's appalling. They didn't see it with their own eyes. They receiving third-party information. Because anybody that comes out with a story about children at a house and you didn't report it, you are appalling. You are appalling. So actually, I also heard Jaguar Wright say something similar. She talked about something going on at Dwayne Wade's house. She said that there was stuff going on in the room with children that would turn anybody's stomach. Well, I like to clarify because I wasn't there. Because if I see something going on with some children, it ain't gonna turn my stomach. I'm gonna turn somebody's head when I knock the hell out of it. That's what's gonna happen. It ain't gonna be turning my stomach. It's gonna be turning somebody's head. So I want to be very careful when we talk about this sexual abuse that's going on today. If you see it, address it. Especially as an adult, address it. Because we cannot allow this to go on. We are adults. We cannot allow this to go on. That's what Katt Williams is talking about. All of the allegations that's coming out today, the knowledge that we're receiving today about all of the nonsense that's going on today. And they using, and believe me, I'm talking to this audience and people that look like me and people that don't look like me, but you can believe it's going on in the white community too, amongst white actresses and actors too. There's somebody on a podcast right now, some white guy, some white girl who's saying the same thing on their podcast to their audience right now. Because the powers that be, it's not about racism. The powers that be don't care about none of that. You think the devil cares if you black or white? The devil don't care if you black or white. The devil only cares if you're willing to surrender yourself to him. The devil only cares about what he has to do to force you to surrender yourself. That's the only thing the devil's concerned with. So it's some white podcasters talking about this very issue amongst their constituents and their people, just like I'm talking about it with you all. They're talking about the secret society that exists among their people. The white actresses and actors and little white boys like Macaulay Culkin. What's his name? Cully McCulkin or whatever. They're talking about people like that. So this is not anything nuanced. This is going on everywhere. And so just like the music industry breaks down the brothers and sisters who look like me that I once looked up to, They break them down right before our face, and they say, this is who you idolize. They want me to idolize that because they know that if I idolize that, then I'm on the road to being a victim like that. They know that. It's easy to make me out as a victim if I still idolize someone whom is destroying the very integrity of a whole nation of people. If I could idolize someone like that, I am already a victim. If I can idolize someone like that, I am already a predator. Just waiting to happen. If I can idolize someone like that, no one is safe around me, men, women, or children. If I can idolize someone like that, I will soon self-destruct, and I will take many people with me. Ain't that what Puffy doing? He idolized Clive Davis, Quincy Jones, Andre Harrell, all people who were groomers, all people who were sexual deviants, possibly involved in all types of things that's abhorrent, all types of things that turns your stomach for real. Because at some point in time, the devil came to him. I'm talking about Diddy. I'm talking about Steve Harvey. I'm talking about Kevin Hart. I'm talking about Cedric the Entertainer. I'm talking about Luda. I'm talking about Katt Williams. I'm talking about to any and every person out there, especially in the entertainment field that I'm talking about. The devil came to each and every one of them. Katt Williams said the devil came to him. Say the devil offered him $50 million 4 times. He said the devil came to him. So this is not something that I just made up. So now I gotta end this. I gotta end this in a little bit. I got about a good 7 minutes left in me. And so the devil is going to come, and the devil can dress up in any garb. That's just it. The devil will dress up looking like your brother. The devil will dress up looking like your brother, your mother, your sister, your daughter, your son, your girlfriend. The devil will dress up in a garb that you are comfortable with, because the devil never wants you to feel uncomfortable. The devil never wants you to feel uncomfortable. And so the devil is always going to come to you in a garb that you can recognize and that is comfortable to you. I know this to be a fact because the devil came to me many times. I walked with him quite a few times. I turned my back on who I was to walk with him. That goes back to the story about the hardest thing that I ever did in my life was being somebody that I wasn't. Because the devil told me that I was this individual in the streets doing what I do, and I bought into it. I bought into it so much, he showed me those shiny apples. He showed me the gold chains and the cars, and he showed me the women, showed me the money. I bought into it. Only thing the devil didn't show me, and he's not supposed to show me, is the truth. And the truth of the matter is that the devil didn't show me the prison. The devil didn't show me the grave. And I ended up in that prison for 28 years. But the devil showed me everything else. He showed me the women, the money, the cars, the jewelry, the houses, the connections. He showed me everything. But the grave in prison. Think about that. The devil is going to show you everything that you want to see. Everything that you want to see. Matthew 4, 1 through 11. The devil is going to show you everything that you want to see. If you want to see a mermaid, the devil going to show you a mermaid, but you got to go in the water to see her. And when you go in the water, you might not come back. The devil will show you a flying horse, but you got to go to the farm and be willing to sleep in that farm, because the horse is only going to show itself at a certain time of day, and you got to be there to see it. But little did you know that it's wild boars on that farm, and they eat every piece and part of the human body. The devil will show you anything that you want to see. So when we pray for riches, this is how karma works. Karma don't necessarily befall the person that committed a certain act. It may befall 2 generations down the line. It may befall a third cousin, fourth cousin. It may befall the parent, the brother, the sister, whatever it is. It don't necessarily have to befall you. So now, here we are. We listen to all these stories, and at one point, and I'll be on P. Diddy probably tomorrow. I'll be back on P. Diddy with some of his shenanigans, his lady shenanigans, and the people that came out. But right now, we're talking about that gateway. We're talking about it's strange how Diddy's story came out, and so many other stories came out after that. So many people's names became involved after that. And then Epstein's name come up, and now a lot of other names come out. But nobody really came out to tell the steps that it took to become Diddy, to become these big name people. And that's what Katt Williams is doing. Katt Williams is telling the steps that it took to become these big name people. He's telling the steps that it took. He's telling the $50 million to turn down the $50 million stories. And he's telling the stories of if you accept the $50 million, you become a part of the elite. Katt Williams is telling these stories. He's telling the story of the process that you must go through in order to end up a super predator. That's a term that Joe Biden used in 1994. Hillary Clinton used in 1994 to describe young black males. They called us super predators. I got a question now. The Epstein documents coming out. Whose names are on those documents? Those are the super predators. See, they try to distract us. They try to use means of throwing us off, reverse psychology, while they doing all the stuff they doing to us, against us, never for us, but through us, get us to do ourselves the worst way. But they call us super predators. Who is the super predator now? Who's been exposed as the super predators now? The big movie execs, entertainment executives, big name politicians. How much money did Epstein give to political parties? Did Harvey Weinstein give to political parties? What was it, the cover up? Bill Powell with? Listen, I got 19 seconds, y'all. I'm going to say this in part. I'm going to say we're going to pray for all the victims. We're gonna pray for all the victims and their parents, their family members, and friends. But I'm gonna say peace and love to those within the sound of my voice, and for those who cannot hear the sound of my voice, I say pass along the message because someone needs to be inspired. Peace.